Good evening, Namaskar. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the media briefing, weekly media briefing that we have for you. We have a number of questions, I understand already, so I don't have an immediate announcement. Yatin, if will you take us through the questions?
So first set of question is on India's supply of wheat to Afghanistan. The area from Sputnik is asking, Pakistan's foreign ministry has said that it has got back to India with details of the plan to transport humanitarian assistance of wheat to Afghanistan. What's the current status of the wheat consignment scheduled to be delivered to Afghanistan through the land route? Siddhan from Vion is asking, is there any update on humanitarian support of wheat that India was to send to Pakistan via Afghanistan? दीपक रंजन फ्रॉम पीटीआई पाशा इज आस्किंग, भारत द्वारा अफगानिस्तान को मानवीय सहायता प्रदान करने की पहल के तहत पाकिस्तान के रास्ते अफगानिस्तान को गेहूं एवं अन्य सहायता पहुंचाने के मामले में अब तक क्या प्रगति हुई है? वी हैव सिमिलर क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम शैलेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया, मधुरेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज़ नेशन एंड नैनिमा फ्रॉम द प्रिंट.
Okay, thanks, Yatin. Let me begin by saying that government is committed to provide humanitarian assistance to the Afghan people, comprising of food grains, COVID vaccines, and essential life-saving drugs. During the last few weeks, 3.6 tons of medical assistance and 500,000 doses of COVID vaccines have been supplied. The process to procure the wheat, which was asked by all the journalists, and to arrange its transportation is currently underway. Naturally, this takes some time. We will share with you updates as soon as we have them. We hope to be able to do this shortly.
Next set of question is on Ukraine. Nainima from the print is asking, what is India's official view on the Russia-Ukraine crisis? Has India discussed the issue with US as well as with Russia? Maha from CNN News 18 is asking, what is India's response to the heightened tension over Ukraine? Vinit Dixit from Newsgate is asking, situation in Ukraine is volatile. What is India's take on the situation? How many Indian nationals are in Ukraine now? Any advisory being issued to them? India has good relations with Russia and Ukraine. What happens if Ukraine asks India for military assistance, keeping in mind when US and UK and other countries have gone ahead in this direction? We have similar questions from Neville from Sky News, Siddhan from Vion, Ranjit Kumar from Rakshat News, and Deepak Ranjan from PTI Pasha.
Thank you, Yatin. We have been closely following the developments relating to Ukraine, including the ongoing high-level discussions between Russia and the US. Our embassy in Kyiv is also monitoring local developments. We call for a peaceful resolution of the situation through sustained diplomatic efforts for long-term peace and stability in the region and beyond.
Anish from Asianet is asking, what's the update on Pakistani religious tourist visit to India that was scheduled to take place from today? Swasini from The Hindu is asking, has government sent any response to proposal by Pakistan for religious pilgrims to be allowed to travel by air? Please give us details of whether the Pakistan Hindu Council has also been in touch with government for reciprocal flights from India. We have similar questions from Shailendra from News 18 and Kavita from Haribhumi.
As you are aware, under the 1974 protocol between India and Pakistan, visits to religious shrines are being facilitated regularly. There is interest on both sides to expand the agreed list of shrines and the mode of travel. It naturally needs to be discussed under the protocol. Let me underline that India has a positive approach on this matter and is willing to engage the Pakistani side. You are also aware that currently restrictions are in place on movement and gatherings in view of COVID-19 pandemic. As the situation normalizes, we expect that this time can be utilized to hold discussions under the bilateral protocol. It is our hope to facilitate early exchange of visits to all shrines of interest to pilgrims.
Daria from Sputnik has question. 4 US congressmen from Democratic Party have criticized India's human rights track record under the current government. The online event was organized by Indian American Muslim Council and attended by former Vice President. How would you like to react to that?
We have seen reports on this event. India is a robust and vibrant democracy. It does not require certification from others. The claim that others need to protect our constitution is presumptuous and preposterous. The track record of the event organizers is as well known as the biases and political interests of the participants.
Gautam Lahiri is asking, what is India's view on 4 years imprisonment of Aung San Suu Kyi?
Look, we have already conveyed India's position on this issue on December 7th. I don't have any update on this for now.
Another question from Gautam Lahiri. EM has invited Bangladesh Foreign Minister for JCC meeting. When this meeting will be held and which issues are to be discussed?
During his telephone conversation with this Bangladesh counterpart on January 6th, External Affairs Minister had invited him for the Joint Consultative Commission meeting. As you know, mutually convenient dates for such events are finalized through diplomatic channels. We will share updates on this once we have them.
दीपक रंजन फ्रॉम पीटीआई भाषा इज आस्किंग, श्रीलंका की आर्थिक स्थिरता के लिए क्या भारत की ओर से और वित्तीय सहायता दी जाएगी?
जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, विदेश मंत्री ने 15 जनवरी को श्रीलंका के वित्त मंत्री के साथ एक वर्चुअल बैठक की थी, जिसमें विदेश मंत्री ने बताया था कि भारत हमेशा श्रीलंका के साथ खड़ा है और मदद देना जारी रखेगा। 400 मिलियन अमेरिकी डॉलर के सार्क करेंसी स्वैप सुविधा को बढ़ा दिया गया है और 515.2 मिलियन अमेरिकी डॉलर के एशियन क्लियरिंग यूनिट निपटान को 2 महीने के लिए टाल दिया गया है। इससे श्रीलंका को फायदा होगा। भारत से ईंधन की खरीद के लिए एक और LOC 500 मिलियन डॉलर के भी दी गई है। आगे कोई भी और अपडेट होगा तो हम आपके साथ साझा करेंगे।
Maha from CNN News 18 is asking, US has again expressed its displeasure over the S-400 deal with Russia. Under the current circumstances between US and Russia over Ukraine, is there more pressure on India that CATSA restrictions could be imposed? We have similar questions from Deepak Ranjan from PTI Pasha and Shailendra from News 18.
Thanks, Yatin. India and, as we have said before, India and the US have a comprehensive global strategic partnership. India has a special and privileged strategic partnership with Russia. We pursue an independent foreign policy. This also applies to our defense acquisition and supplies, which are guided by our national security interest. Yatin?
Siddhan from Vion is asking, any update on the 7 Indians on UAE vessel that was hijacked by Houthis earlier this month? Ranjana from UNI is asking, what is the latest update about 7 Indian sailors who are on board the UAE flagship Rabawi that was seized by the Houthis on January 2nd? Has any contact been made with the Houthis over their release? The Houthis have also warned of escalation in attacks. What does the Indian government plan to do about safety of its people in the UAE?
As per the latest information received from the shipping company based in the UAE, as well as from other sources, the 7 Indian sailors are safe, in good health, and are being provided regular meals. However, their captors have not been allowing them to communicate with their families. Government of India is in touch with multiple sources, including the UN mission to support Hodedai Agreement, the UN MHA, to inquire about the safety and well-being of our sailors, as well as to reinforce our message to the Houthis that our sailors should be released at the earliest. As regards the attack in UAE, 2 Indian nationals were killed in the terror attack on January 17th. External Affairs Minister, in his telephonic conversation with his UAE counterpart, condemned the terror attack in the strongest terms. Subsequently, the UN Security Council, of which we are currently a member, in a press statement, condemned in the strongest terms the heinous terror attack in Abu Dhabi, UAE, on January 17th. We are closely monitoring developments.
Ranjana has another question. have the 4 Indians who froze to death at Canada-US border been identified? Has it been confirmed to be a case of illegal border crossing? When would be the bodies sent to India? Could you tell us more about the case?
Our missions in Canada and USA have been following regularly this tragic case of death of 4 people whose bodies were recovered near the Canada-US border in Manitoba in Canada on 19th of January. Canadian authorities have confirmed that all 4 who perished were Indian nationals who belonged to one family. The next of kin of the deceased has now been informed. Canadian authorities have also informed that based on the circumstances, the death of all the persons have been determined to be consistent with exposure to the outdoor elements. Our High Commission in Ottawa and our Consulate General in Toronto are working closely with the Canadian authorities on all aspects of the investigation and also providing consular services to the family of the deceased. Our High Commission in Ottawa has issued a detailed press release on the subject yesterday. If there are any further developments, we will share it with you.
Shailendra from News 18 is asking, महात्मा गांधी की मूर्ति पर खालिस्तानी प्रदर्शन पर हमारे मिशन ने क्या कदम लिए हैं? Siddhant from Vion is asking, Khalistani protests have been seen in US and Milan. Has the matter been raised with the respective governments?
Let me state that we attach utmost priority to the security of our diplomats abroad and the premises in which they work and live in. We work closely with local authorities and host governments to ensure that adequate security is provided. There have been some recent instances where radical elements have tried to vandalize diplomatic premises abroad and disrupt functioning of the missions. Adequate measures were taken against such attempts. There was also an attempt to desecrate the statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Washington, D.C. We have taken up all these unfortunate incidents with the host governments and conveyed our concerns. We have requested a thorough investigation, action against all those involved, and prevention of such incidents from happening in the future.
Madhurendra from News Nation is asking, LAC पर चीन का बिल्डअप बढ़ता जा रहा है, वही पिछली बातचीत फिर नाकाम रही, आगे क्या उम्मीद है? Rajiv Menon from Malayalam Manorama has a question. China has said that it will work closely with India on solving the border dispute and would oppose third-party interference. What is our response to it? What is the status of talks with China? We have similar questions from Praveen Gautam from Newspoint and Deepak Ranjan from PTI Bhasha.
As you are aware, the 14th round of India-China Corps Commanders level meeting was held on January 12th this year. The two sides agreed that resolution of the remaining issues at the earliest would help in restoration of peace and tranquility along the line of actual control in the Western sector and enable progress in bilateral relations. The two sides agreed to stay in close contact and maintain dialogue via military and diplomatic channels and work out a mutually acceptable resolution of the remaining issues at the earliest. In this context, it was also agreed that the next round of commanders level talks should be held at the earliest. We will share with you once we have any update on this.
Praveen Gautam from Newspoint is asking, वैक्सीन मैत्री कार्यक्रम के तहत भारत ने अपने पड़ोसी देशों के साथ और अन्य गरीब देशों को अनुदान के रूप में अभी तक कितनी वैक्सीन उपलब्ध कराई है? Munish Gupta from PIO TV is asking, WHO says 3 billion people still haven't got the first jab. India takes pride in being world's biggest vaccine manufacturer. Is MEA or Health Ministry are both working on a policy framework as to when and how to start helping the world?
You'd be aware that pursuant to Honorable Prime Minister's directions, we have resumed export of made in India vaccines. We are updating details of the shipments on the website of the ministry. I would invite you to regularly check the website for the latest details of the consignments.
Suhasini from The Hindu is asking, the India Central Asia Summit joint statement noted Turkmenistan's proposal to speed up TAPI pipeline construction. What is India's position on this, and will India participate in Turkmenistan Regional Connectivity Conference in April?
Look, I think yesterday during the post-summit briefing, Secretary West responded to this issue. TAPI is a long-standing project under continuing discussion, and we understand that discussions are ongoing at the level of the consortium partners with respect to the business principles of the project. As regards future engagements that the question referred to, we will share updates when available.
Suhasini has another question. The list of dignitaries attending the opening ceremony of Beijing Winter Olympics doesn't include India. Could you confirm whether any Indian official was invited and why government decided not to accept the invitation? Would Indian ambassador or any diplomatic presence be there?
I think we have one Indian athlete who has qualified for the Winter Olympics this year. As regards who else will be present, I don't have any information on that.
Rajiv Menon from Malayalam Manorama is asking, Chinese media have reported that India has enhanced Navy patrolling in Indian Ocean, but it is unmatched to that of China due to lack of funding. What is our response to their propaganda?
As you have yourself noted, this is propaganda and we dismiss such propaganda in the ministry.
Madhurendra from News Nation has a question. बलूचिस्तान में आज़ादी की आवाज़ को कुचलने के लिए पाकिस्तान अमानवीय और बर्बर हो चुका है। भारत का बलूचिस्तान के मौजूदा हालात पर क्या कहना है?
हमारी पाकिस्तानी अथॉरिटीज़ से आग्रह ये रहेगी कि वो बलूचिस्तान में जो मानवाधिकारों की उल्लंघन हो रही हैं उसे बंद रखें और उसे रोकें। मेरा यही रिस्पॉन्स रहेगा।
I have no further questions, sir.
Thank you, Yatin. That brings us to the end of this virtual media briefing. Look forward to meeting up again next week.